Yeah, well, Jim, I think this speaks to the Aussie notion of a fair go, and I think there's been an injustice here, and it's obvious to Australians that this has never been resolved, this injustice. And so an ongoing injustice for the Australian psyche is something that people would like to see dealt with and finally resolved one way or the other. And there's nothing more Australian than a couple of young Aussie blokes, people who've come from our country, going over to South Africa and getting dealt with unfairly by a foreign power and not having their rights heard. And I think that is what's caused, almost a century of discussion, debate, and generated so many passionate opinions one way and the other. Yeah, I think the descendants obviously would like to see these rights redressed, and I think they've got a good case. It's part of the reason why I argued on the Petitions Committee with others to have this heard for the first time in the Australian Parliament. And that was a great development because this story has had so much relevance, in my view, to Australian history and Australian military history in particular. And it's something I think we need to see aired and dealt with in a final way. Well, I think the general consensus after listening to all of the evidence and the passions on both sides, and there were some passionate people arguing about the facts of the case, there were some historians arguing strongly against the case. The idea was, I think, from committee members that there was something here, something that was unresolved. And I think the further you look into this matter, the more details you'll find that there has been some injustice and something that has been unresolved for a long time. And a resolution needs to be found. I would support that recommendation, and I would support an inquiry into this matter because there are outstanding issues to be resolved. The petition committee members usually are used to hearing kind of dry petitions on issues of the day, but we agreed to hear this matter because all of us thought, well, there's something here. And during the course of the hearing, hearing from the witnesses, hearing from descendants, hearing from historians, hearing from people who obviously had a great deal of knowledge about this matter, I think it didn't matter what side of the house you're on, the members of this committee felt that there was a story here that needed to be answered. And a lot of MPs, whether they were Labor or Liberal, went on to go into the chamber and make speeches. I wrote an article, an opinion piece for the wider media, and it was fascinating to hear just how this story has evolved over that 111 years. Even way back when we heard that 80,000 Australians signed a petition so many years ago, a huge percentage of the Australian population, to have another petition presented 100 years later really reached out, I think, and spoke to a lot of the committee members.